Hey everyone, how's it going? It's Dan here, and today I'm giving you guys some Borderlands 3 Maliwan takedown here, and we're going to be trying to take out Wotan Invincible in what I think is probably the most efficient way and the easiest way to do it. I don't think this is the quickest way, but I think this is definitely up there. I think that this is probably going to make the takedown relatively simple for you guys. The Zane build that I have today obviously works with the two skills, and I mean, everyone knows that basically what I have in my inventory here is obviously standard Zane dead. I think that is a must for any Zane build. I think this is probably the only way that makes him extremely viable. It's probably his best bet at doing anything else. Now personally I haven't done much research, but I think that the Zane dead is definitely the biggest way to go. Now the shield, I'd personally like to use the stopgap simply because I like having that immunity on shield break. Could be useful for whatever reason if I have my cooldowns off. Grenades completely can be whatever you want. You can even unequip grenades if you would like, simply because you have two action skills, therefore grenades are just not necessary. Now the very last thing that I have is the electric banjo, and the reason why I like to have this is that in combination with my shock redistributor, with every shot being amped, or every 7th shot being amped, and amp shots chained to nearby enemies, destroying the enemies is going to be relatively simple. And on top of that, with the increased weapon damage plus the fact that it is 8% shock damage chance, on top of that, you know, having the electric banjo chained to other people is really useful. So plus the extra shock damage is always welcome. Fortunately it's on level 50, so I have to farm for a level 57 one, and perhaps in the future if I find an even more efficient way to do the Maliwan takedown, I will post it here. But let's get into the 4 weapons that I think, well, there's actually more than 4, but personally the most important thing that you need to have is the cached infused powerhouse redistributor. Now there are very many different variations. As you can see, I have a corrosive one, a fire one, a radiation one, and of course I have a shock one. Now the reason why I'm using the shock one is because, first of all, before I was using the crit damage or the radiation one, simply because I enjoy the crit damage over, I had another shock one, but it didn't have the higher crit damage, and since this one has the crit damage, and with so many things having shields, or so many opponents having shields in the Maliwan takedown, it's just really useful. Now if you have the radiation one, this also isn't a bad idea as well. Personally, this is my first run with this shock one, and so we're gonna figure out really quickly if this is better, but personally these both work phenomenally well, and to be honest, these two would even work great. Now I don't know about fire, because there's a lot of corrosive enemies as well, so I don't know how that one would feel. And of course the redistributor here might be, the corrosion one might be a little weird because people do have shields and therefore it might not be as effective, but regardless these two are all very strong as well, and this doesn't have extra crit damage, making this not a very good pick actually. So this is a, yeah, this is not that great, but this effect does stack, so this I mean, it's anointed could make it pretty effective, so just depending on you. I think all of these redistributors are very solid picks. Either way, having a redistributor is just a very important thing to have. Now the second thing to take out the big boys is going to be the lob, and the reason why I have corrosion, unfortunately I don't have an anointed operative, but if you have corrosion, I think it's important that you have it simply because you're going to see later on to take out Wotan as well as even the Valkyries. I think this is easily one of your best picks to possibly have, for the fact that it just kills bosses so very quickly. It works like a cutsman. If you have a cutsman, it works out just as well, and so it's personally up to you, but since you're going to be using a redistributor so much, the ammo might be a little bit of a problem, therefore the lob is absolutely perfect for this. And since my Seeing Dead boosts shotgun damage, why not use shotgun? So the very last pick that I have, and I think is a very good staple for this, is the Anarchy. Or actually there's one more gun, but the Anarchy, especially with this anointed operative, is insane because my barrier is pretty much always up, and on top of that it just is phenomenal with the stacks. So crazy stuff, and of course with the accuracy increased by 60, basically lets my Zane do whatever you want. So really cool stuff. And basically the Anarchy really only has a couple uses, but with that being said, it is very good for taking out Wotan's second half, the flying half that you guys will see later on. It does bug him out, and so I don't know if the bug will be patched in the future. And of course, just one last thing before we move on is of course the Cutsman. Cutsman is phenomenal for taking out Wotan as well. You're going to see later on in the fight how I use each of the weapons to their max potential, but the Cutsman definitely has his spot as well. And of course, if you don't have the Lob, the Cutsman is almost just as good. You just have to be very careful about your ammo management as far as SMGs goes. And of course, at the end of the day, if you have infinity pistols of corrosion and shock, you could technically beat this entire thing as well. It's not very difficult. Zane has just insane sustain, but just with infinity pistols it's going to take a while. So that's just something you should keep in mind. But yeah, this is mainly my setup. I am currently level 57. This is done after the second DLC, not the last DLC, but the most recent DLC is actually the second DLC, which is the Hammerlock tentacle one, and I don't know the official name for it. But the strategy here, skip past these, I don't know what they're called, the ratches, and you're going to want to target these guys and make sure that you're going to go for the crit spots, killing them, and basically doing some insane amounts of damage. Now with this gun, you have to be careful about not blowing yourself up with your own weapon, as that just basically would ruin your day. And just like that, you have, okay, now from here you can kind of leave them and they will fight the ratchets outside, and from here you can basically murder everyone here. Now unfortunately there's no one near, but as you can see, once people get near, the damage changes around, and just look at that damage. That shields are gone. Oh my goodness. Okay, so lesson learned. This is just a shield melter straight up. Literally, okay, for a little Spec Ops Battle Wolf, one fun tip is that, especially if you see a badass one, we'll see if I find one soon, but I'm afraid that I'm putting things that might not be as effective. But there's Spec Ops War Dog, but for the badass Spec Ops War Dogs, it's a very good idea to just basically go ham with them by the Lob, because the Lob, once you whittle down their shields, basically just murder. Oh my goodness, I'm gonna use the Lob right here actually. And just like that, as you can see, just any of the heavy boys just get absolutely just murdered. I don't know why I pulled out my infinity pistol, but just like that, as you can see, just everyone just gets absolutely annihilated. And so, ooh, stutters, big stutters. But yeah, basically from here, your distributor is killing everything. And if you see a badass Spec Ops War Dog, or for whatever reason they're stragglers, the Lob is a very good pick to get rid of them, or even just using your pistols. Like for instance, if there's a guy right here, like a Spec Ops Battle Wolf, just focus them down with Sentinel, making sure that you get your crit damage, or you're going to just swipe them out like that. Okay, you didn't. Oh, he did die. Okay, but yeah, if they're clumped together within the vicinity for the Rooster to destroy everyone, it's a very good idea to just do so. The Rooster just thrives on these situations, and this Spec Ops Bender, very easy way to just get rid of them. Just doing that, using the Lob. Using the Lob just murders them. So right here we get another Spec Ops Protector, in which case then, since it's chained to everyone, it just does insane amounts of damage. And then obviously, as you can see, the Kraken is right here, and we're just gonna go to get a good angle on him, and it should very much deplete his shields. Now from here, we're going to try to take a look at the most recent legendaries, or the ones near him. Okay, this one is definitely a little bit further out. As you see, once we get a straggler here, and it's not a bad idea to just use your infinity pistol and just kind of whittle them down. You can see it still takes a while, even with Sentinel focused on them. But from here, with something that I like to do is I like to run by this area here to set off this platform, and then come back here, and then come around, maybe reset it with, so you can see the redistributor kind of just resets the cooldown, and just pretty much murders them and stuff. So, oh my god, I almost fell off. That would have been so bad. But we're gonna take a look at the legendaries, and we will be right back. Alright, so after taking a look at the legendaries, we proceed on, after buying some ammo, to fight the Valkyries. Now, something to keep in mind here is that with the Valkyries, you want to generally focus on their shields, and just like that, we burn down one of their shields, causing both of them to actually set off their immune setup. So it makes one of the fights easy, but unfortunately it means that you chain to other things, or to deal with the other two bots, Valkyries, you're going to have to take care of a bit more of your shields. So it's a little unfortunate, but it's kind of fine in the long run. Also, if you have a shock lob, it's a very good idea to use it here, as they basically kind of just go in, and just like that. Wow, decent amounts of damage here. We can get some crits going. It's not too bad at all, actually. And then once we get to their health, a solid lob action here just basically completely annihilates their health. And once again, when these guys spawn, you want to make sure that you just go ham with them with the amped distributor. Jesus, yeah, the shock definitely makes a difference, I think. I think it is definitely better than the radiation version, and so it definitely is the big play right now. Obviously with Hilda, we're going to kind of whittle down their shields a little bit. After we whittle down those shields, we're going to swap over the lob, and that should be some decent damage if you could just hit them without them running away, essentially. So obviously the lob's greatest weakness, I think, is aiming. If you can land your shots, it definitely is helpful, but I can't seem to land my shots right now, so it's a little unfortunate. That should take way longer than it had to. We're gonna kill this husky right here, and just like that, we have the next setup. War dogs here. War dogs are kind of a little tougher, or hack hounds, I guess. But right here, once again, redistributor the mobs, and I'm getting pummeled. You have to be very careful here because Zane's shield does not block from melee damage, and when they all jump at you like that, it's kind of they're pretty lethal actually. So just be a little wary of that. Oh, I don't have my shield up either. Just be aware of your cooldowns as well. That definitely doesn't help. As well as that, once you realize that, like me, that basically the bots are here, there's really no point in sticking around. As you can see, just insane amounts of damage left and right, ladies and gentlemen. I mean, this guy's Rota just got absolutely annihilated. Now hack hounds here, once again, decent damage, and we're just going to kind of murder. Look at that Spec Ops War Dog just absolutely getting murdered here. There it is. We're going to get some more damage done with all of these guys around here. I mean, these dash commandos or stuff like that just really honestly just get murdered. Like, this is kind of ridiculous. And then with them being like this, no, this is a monster setup. Do you see the health going down with the redistributor? Like, when this thing chains that many enemies, that is just insane. But just like that, we're gonna do this. Okay, I did not mean to do that, but and just like that, we have that down. And of course, the last Valkyrie, and just like that, we have taken them down. Like I said, redistributor for the mobs as combined with the bosses just deal insane amounts of damage, plus the critical hit damage makes this absolutely insanely viable. So as I take a look at some of the legendaries as well as proceed to the next part, it's pretty much all the same parts again, and so I don't feel the need to have to show you guys what I do. It literally is just redistributor all the mobs, sorry, and from there all you would then have to do is any of the stragglers you just make sure to get rid of with your lob, or Infinity Pistol if you would like. Of course, the Anarchy is also not a bad choice. Anarchy is actually never a bad choice. So on that note though, once we clear our way to Wotan, I will be back. So just real quick as well, since we are here right before Wotan, I think it is also important to realize that this section here can be a little bit of a problem. Not too bad, but as you can see, the distributor just kind of shreds these guys completely, and it doesn't let them play the game. But like I said, just having them clumped all together since they're so close to one another, just very easy stuff to take care of. And if there's only, or if you're out of ammo like I am, a simple lob should be more than enough to get the job done. And just like that, we have them beat. So after taking a look at the legendaries, we will be right back. Alright, so now that we are right in front of Wotan, something that I want to point out is basically what I want to have equipped going into this fight. Obviously, Infinity Pistol probably is not the way to go here, therefore I think having a corrosive Cutsman is going to be very helpful. You're going to see later on that when we're pursuing him, it's going to be very useful as the lob's projectiles just don't reach quick enough. And of course, obviously if you have the Brainstormer, if you don't have the Redistributor, Brainstormer is rather good for this section for taking out his shields as well. It's quite solid. But if you have the Redistributor, it's going to be better. And for those guys thinking, why can't I just use Redistributor for standard mobs? Well, the honest truth is that you just simply don't have enough ammo to do so. Maybe on a lower level difficulty you might be able to get away with it, but I think the Redistributor is kind of a must. So this is basically set up. Kind of really change anything. You just kind of sub in the Cutsman here, and obviously we're gonna have 2 shotguns, 2 SMGs, and that is going to be the play. Now I'm gonna kind of walk you guys through this fight, sort of every stage of the fight. We're gonna kind of get past this fight relatively quickly, and I think we might be able to get it in perhaps under 5 minutes, 5 to 10 minutes. We'll get this fight through, and I think this whole entire debacle will probably take about half an hour. I'm sure there are ways to do it quicker, but personally for me, I think that the quickest way is the way I'm doing currently, and it's also just like what I think. One of the methods that I think is relatively easy, just one of those things. Just as soon as you do, as you can see, we pretty much murder his shields. Every time that his mob spawn, basically just gets destroyed, and then from there we just kind of destroy him with the lob. Now the first thing is you want to make sure you're at one of his corners of his legs, because that way you allow the projectiles to go through multiple renditions of him. So as you can see, we burst past already his first 2 forms, and when that happens, I did not mean to pull this out, but might as well unload into him. Kind of missed half of those mags, but you can see he's up there. If we were to use the lob's projectiles, it would take too long, and I don't even know if they would reach. Therefore, the Cutsman is absolutely the better choice for this to work. Now, as you can see, once he's back down here again, just do the same thing. Use the lob, make sure that all of his things are down. Now that he's in his double shield form, what you want to do, same thing once again, Redistributor, look at that shield, could just get deleted, 1 legendary down, and what then you want to do is go right here, sit up top here, as you can see, just absolutely demolishing him with his mobs around him, just absolutely annihilating his damage. So very, very solid stuff. Now once he does enter this final form, you can also take out the Krakens, so they're not very difficult to deal with at all. As you can see, when he's jumping around, it kind of makes things a little bit difficult to deal with him, as well as you can't get too close to him. But as you can see, if you just use the lob, decent amounts of damage. Oh, more than just decent, he's just murdering him, dude. He's gonna jump again, more than likely. Yep. And like I said, just like that, he is down, ladies and gentlemen. And make sure to shoot at his feet as well. I think they actually crash that. But just like that, we have dealt with all of them, and now we have to deal with essentially his top half. So one of the ways to really, I guess, deal with his top half, nope, it's not that, is actually going to be using the, first of all, locking out of him, and then using the Anarchy. Now why am I using the Anarchy? Well, for whatever reason, Anarchy first of all just deals a ton of damage, and I actually don't know how to set off this bug, but every single time that I seem to use the Anarchy, it seems to always knock Wotan over. I think I just need to get a crit or something somewhere. And there it is. See, right there. His health is not gone. As you can see, he's still up on the map. And so we have to basically find a part of his body, and it just kind of looks like this red thing. As you can see, it is right here. Right here. That is the thing that is, for some reason, his new hitbox. And just like this, as you can see, it's taking damage, and if you were to, for instance, use the lob on it, it would actually deal a phenomenal amount of damage to him. So, to put it into perspective, before knocking him down into that form or whatnot, it actually dealt, like, was around half health, I think, maybe a little less. But even then, just one complete like burst of the lob managed to take him down completely. And so I think that it definitely is, like, it proves to show that the lob is just a monster weapon, And of course, having the redistributor taking down his shields just absolutely is insanely quick. Now, same thing for this guys. If you can get him to slow down, like say this guy, Kraken just gets eaten alive by the lob. And if the stingers stay still, if they stay still, I said if they stay still, they get destroyed as well. So like we said, we see this pretty much 75% health Kraken. And I mean, I didn't have the drone person, but probably would have finished him off in one shot if it weren't for that. And oh, that's awkward. That's honestly really awkward. But basically, just keep using the lob, and this guy is down. So aside from that, the Wotan fight is once again very simple. Stage 1, anytime he has a shield up, redistributor, and with his little mobs at the side, absolutely demolishes his health. And anytime his shield is down, and he's stationary on the ground here, lob is the way to go. And anytime he's airborne or he decides to jump with one of these or one of these 3 platforms, very easy, Cutsman would finish the job. And then even if he's on the ground, you could shoot a couple Cutsmen and chase him down with your lob. Now at the second half of that fight, you might be able to get away with a shock redistributor. That might not be such a bad idea as well, as it could allow for, or not a shock one, a corrosive one, and you could deal extra damage to Wotan, as well as having the amp shots deal a ton of damage to, as he does spawn a ton of mobs, so could just be relatively useful there. And so yeah, but for the most part, that is pretty much how you beat Wotan. Hope you guys have enjoyed. In the future, if I come up with a more productive method or an easy and even easier method, which I find highly doubtful, I will post it onto here, and you guys will essentially get to see how I managed to do it. So on that note though, thanks for watching. Hope you guys have enjoyed, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace out.